Alright. I think I'm ready to roll. Let me know in the comments. Should that GIF be transparent? Because I can make it like not a black backdrop. If so be it. Other than that, hello. I can see there was one person here. They've left. Embarrassing. Just gotta figure out how I want to set this up. I guess I can move you over here, because I don't need that anymore. Alright. For those of you who just got back from the previous stream, for whatever reason, if you're binging the series because you're bored or something, I don't know. You might have noticed that there's been a few more tiles added since the other day. Yeah, I did a little bit of work, just off camera. We've got quite the map. I think in total there's about like 250 of these tiles. I haven't actually counted, but like, okay, I did count, but then I added some more and I changed up the design, so I think there's about 250. That's gonna be a lot of work. The good news is, I need something to do for like the rest of my life, so I guess this project's gonna last us quite a long time. It's gonna be a while before oh goodness gracious me, we get this project up and running, which I feel like is a good chance segue into what I wanted to do. And I feel like last time I was streaming, I didn't really explain this too well, like what this is going to be. I mean, I kind of did, but I don't think anybody was watching that far into the stream. So, what exactly is this project? What are we working on? What are we doing? Today, we are continuing this massive effort into making a PvP minigame that I'm currently calling Loot Runner. I don't know if that's going to be its permanent name. I don't know if I'm going to like sub it out for something later. My cameraman's going crazy. But that's the current name. Loot Runner. If you're wondering why I'm wearing this lab coat, because I wanted to. I'm gonna change the skin. I'm not sold on this lab coat. I think it's a bit too bright. There's not enough contrast or anything. It just looks like a white blob, which I'm not really a fan of. It'll give me a second. Hold on. Let me just go into OBS real quick. Yeah, let's just do that. I can quit out of this. I'm gonna change my skin real quick. I'm gonna change my skin back to the normal. Let's say, is it version 7? I think. Yeah, we'll just... Let's go with version 7. That's fine. Let's go with version 7. There you are. No, actually, I want full screen. I don't want you full screen. I want you on this one. There we go. No, what have I done? I've clicked the wrong button. Clicked the wrong button. Wants me to update the mods and I accidentally clicked yes. Oh, goodness me. Yeah, I think this is not going so well. Should have spent a little more extra prep time. There we go. No, I would not like to update. There we go. Hey, much better. Much better. Alright. I'm gonna turn the music off. I'm gonna let the music run out so we can talk. I feel like this is gonna be quite the talk. And I like to talk. It's something I just enjoy doing. I love talking about crazy, weird projects I'm obsessed about. So, this is Loot Runner. What we have laid out here is going to be the battle arena. So, like, let me first get something out of the way. What exactly is this game? What's it going to be like? This is a PvP game based off of looting. So, each of these little rectangles here, or each of these little squares here, there's 4 different sizes, and there's like 250 of them scattered throughout this arena. It's going to be quite a lot of work programming them. I'm hoping to just copy and paste some of them. But anyway, all of these squares are going to be structures that we are going to be programming the generation of in due time. And we're probably going to have some help with the actual construction of those structures, thanks to my friend Johnny. He hasn't confirmed anything. Like, I don't know if he's fully committed to, like, the building of this project. But I'm hoping sometime soon we'll be able to get him on. So anyway, all of these structures will generate before each round, and the idea is in this box right behind me, this central one, this one here, all the players will spawn here. And they'll be released, and they'll have like 30 seconds of resistance, so that way there's no like PvP or whatever before players can really get going. And they can gather stuff, they can mine up the structures for like resources like wood or stone or whatever, and they can upgrade their tools. And eventually like they'll go into these structures and they'll find chests. Those chests back there. Oops. I got a new keyboard not too long ago, and it's been a while since I played this game. So yeah, we have these chests here. You can find, there's 3 different types of chests. You can find like regular chests, which we'll go over all this stuff later. You can find barrels, and then you can find ender chests. Ender chests are by far the most important, and I'll get to that later. So the players will go out, they'll run up to these structures, they'll enter them through whatever means necessary, blow a hole in the wall, mine straight in, or walk through the front door like a civilized person, and find whatever chests are inside. There could be 1, there could be 2, there could be 3, and collect whatever loot's inside. The loot will be randomly generated for each structure every round. So every time this map is booted up, every time the players in this world want to go around, they can just click start game, the map will reset. All the structures that are currently here will just be wiped clean. New structures will be put in their place, all with different loot. And so no 2 rounds are going to be the same because all the structures are going to be randomly generated. I think each of these tiles are going to be 1 of 9 potential variants. That is the max with the redstone that I have in mind. We can have a max of 9 different variants, and I feel like the more variants we have, the better. So they'll go out and they'll explore. Now there's 2 catches. 1, there are other players in the arena who want the loot that you just got, because the loot are points. In order to win the game, you must escape the dungeon with the most loot and the best quality of said loot. So if you have a stack of iron, it's not going to score you as much as a stack of diamond or even gold, really. So the higher the quality, the more points, and also there's a couple of other like factors. We'll go over the loot. It's in that double chest I showed it a little bit earlier. We'll go over what's in there. So basically, and the further away that you get from this central area, the higher tier loot. So all the way in those corners over there, expect things like netherite. Well, this region's, you can find things like gold, diamonds towards like the back corners in these general areas, and then like mostly like iron and gold in the central area. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. The further out you go, the greater the loot and the more value it will have. However, there's a risk for going out far. The only way out of the dungeon is through the central point, the place where you entered. It's going to be known as, I guess I could call it the gateway. It's your way in and it's your way out. And so players who will spend their times out here either battling it out or acquiring more loot might want to start thinking about moving in towards the inner areas. Even though they might be cleared out, well, for starters, you're obviously closer to the inner area, which means when the time comes to end the game, it'll be easier for you to get out. Not to mention, out in these outer regions, we're going to have mobs, hostile mobs. These smaller ones, these small tiles here, which there's another one. Oh no. Oh, is that on all? It's on all of them. I spotted this mistake the other day. It's on all of them. Oh, goodness me. Alright, well, that's something I gotta live with. Yep, it's on those. And those. Basically, yep. It just... The template was messed up, and now all of them are broken. It's technically not broken, it's just a minor annoyance. That little block up there... goodness me. That's so annoying that it's on all of them. Yep. It's on all of them. That one's the one I fixed. That was one of the ones that I fixed. And then there's that one. And that one's good. That one. Nope, wait. That one's not. That one's... Yep, it's all of them, basically. Alright, so where was I? Yes. Getting out. So with each round, with each game, prior to the start, the game will randomly determine the maximum duration of this match. So I think at most I want it to be like 20 minutes long, so it's like players will have some chance to like get in, grab some loot, get geared up, fight it out, and then go in. However, there's going to be a twist. The name of the game is called Loot Runner. And the first part, the loot... Well, that's pretty explanatory. You go into structures and you get as much loot as you can. The running part comes when it's time to end the game. Because here's the fun part. It'll be random. Every 30 seconds there'll be like a randomizer or so. And I might tweak the times, or I might even make it customizable in how frequently this ticks. But there'll be a randomizer that'll determine one of three things every 30 seconds. It could do nothing. It could roll a modifier, which we'll get into when the time comes to add those. Or it could roll Death Rush. And if it rolls Death Rush, you got 30 seconds to get out. Otherwise, any player who's still trapped in the dungeon when after Death Rush has been called, they are automatically killed and their loot is invalidated. Any loot that they had, any armor they've collected, all for nothing if they do not make it back to the middle when Death Rush is called. And Death Rush could be called at any point throughout the game. After every 30 seconds, it could be called within the first 30 seconds for all you know. You don't know when Death Rush is going to occur. So the farther out you go, the greater the risk. And I timed it. I timed out how long it would take to run from there to the middle, and it takes about 25 seconds. If you're doing a straight line. But since there's going to be POIs and structures all over the place, if you're in like these back ends, you got to run around. And if you're in like these corners, you got to navigate your way through this. But if you're in these back areas, especially all the way back there at POI and these ones over here, it's going to take you more than 25 seconds. It's going to take you more than 30 seconds to reach there. So unless you have a speed potion or an ender pearl, you're done if you're out here when Death Rush is called. So I imagine most of the chaos after everyone's gotten their loot is going to be within this inner area, which actually makes me consider like removing some of these POIs, or I guess you could say structures, for the sake of places to fight. I might remove these like 4 corner ones here. Make this space a bit more open. So that way, like, there could be fights or battles or whatever. I'm not sure. I'm gonna leave it at now. We'll do some test runs once like everything's put into place and all the redstone's done. But for the time being, yeah, this is the layout. So the players don't know when Death Rush is going to occur, but when it does, you better start running. And it's just gonna be hilarious to watch people who are like in the outer ends panicking, trying to get back. Now there's gonna be like, if you're out in the outer regions, there's going to be 8 bridges. 1 on each corner and then 1 on the, I guess you could say cardinal directions. I'm not sure what these would be called, but one's directly in line with the main exit. So this central bit here will be this massive pillar that goes up into the sky, so that way, regardless of where you are in the dungeon, you know where the center is. So more or less it's impossible to get lost if you can see the central bit. So this is going to be a really tall structure once it's fully built. I'm not going to do any like the high-tech build stuff. Like, we're not going to detail. Right now it's just a stone platform right here and just some basalt outlines. We're not going to like detail it or fancy it up or anything until after we get all the command blocks working and all the structure blocks are in place and everything's operational. So that way, in case like something goes wrong, I'm not like messing up something important. It's just a stone platform. It just gets a little bit messed up. Plus, it's easier to clean up. And yeah, I'd rather not have to deal with rebuilding something that's like already built. Plus, it won't take that long. We have world edit. We've got world edits, and it wouldn't take that long. So overall, I would say this is going to be quite the project. A lot of things need to happen. We need to get a lot of things ready before we actually start with the actual construction. And one of those things is going to be like the loot. So like, what kind of like loot can you find? There's going to be 5 different tiers of loot, and they each have like different like categories of like what kind of stuff you can find. There's also 3 different categories. There's chests, barrels, and ores. Ores are going to be important because ores are going to allow you to make the most of your loot. Actually, I guess it's just like, yeah, I'm not sure how I scaled the ores. But anyway, point-wise, this is a list of everything valuable in this game. Anything that can be redeemed for points is in this chest. Aside from maybe gunpowder. I might take gunpowder out. And obsidian as well. I might take both of those out because I don't really see them being used. Actually, maybe I might leave obsidian in, depending on how rare it is. So anyway, there's nothing fancy about the placement of these items except for like some of their point values. Obviously, there's some things that are like calling into question, like what's with the music disc, what's with the cake. So everything in this chest is valid for points. And yeah, for a lot of this, it's very straightforward. You'll notice that like we have raw iron and gold in here and their ingots are worth more. So if you find raw iron and you smelt it down, it's like +2 points per item that you would have gotten. So it's like anything that you carry out of the dungeon is worth points. Actually, not everything. Stuff like building materials or blocks or scaffolding or whatever it is that you mine a structure out, those probably aren't worth a lot. But this stuff definitely, this is all stuff that will be submitted, that can be submitted for points. So we got like a bunch of gold, we got like diamonds, we got scraps, we got full blocks, which are very valuable. Although interestingly enough, if you break this down, that gives you 81 points. And I feel like it would be more valuable having a block than just... Actually, would it be? Yeah, because that's times 9, which is 27. But that's only worth 9 points. So yeah, if you were to get one of these, you'd want to break it down into these immediately. Same with these, I would think. I don't know. We're gonna figure out the actual like point values and like what things should we do, like how things should be broken down, or should we keep things as is. But yeah, like basically anything in here is worth some level of value. So things like diamonds are definitely worth more than like iron or gold. Like ingots are good. Totems of Undying. Here's my thought with this. It's a rare, it can be a rare item. And if they acquire a totem in the dungeon, it only is valid for points if you carry it out. So if you pop this totem before exiting the dungeon, then obviously you've just lost those 30 points. You're still alive, which means you still have all the other points in your inventory. But yeah. And also that is something that we have to factor in for Death Rush. If a player has a totem and the kill command is run, I'm wondering if it kills the player or if they can cheese it with a totem. We'll have to test that. And then we have, obviously, a flock of netherite. Ridiculously expensive. You need 9 of these, which, at that point, why not put it towards armor? I don't think this will spawn naturally in the world. And then you got some like miscellaneous stuff like gunpowder. Gunpowder, if you find sand, TNT, obviously, it's going to be a huge contributor is TNT. And then we have some obsidian, which you could use to like barricade doors, or you could also use it to craft an ender chest, depending if there are blazes in the arena. And the ender chest is important. We'll go over why. Ender pearls, obviously super useful. Enchanted golden apples. You notice regular golden apples aren't in this table. But enchanted golden apples, if you find them, obviously super valuable. Music. This music disc is worth 50 points, and this is kind of like a bonus objective that you can do. When it comes to like loot, you'll find disc fragments. The fragments themselves are worth nothing. But if you find 9 of them and you craft them up, that's 50 free points right there, assuming you make it out with the disc. And then the cake is going to just be a super rare food item. I'm not expecting the players to place it down or eat it or anything like that. If you carry this out, hey, you got a cake. It's 100 free points. Now, Ian did say something about the cake being a lie. So I'm wondering if I should make it a 50% chance that if you carry a cake out, that it's actually a lie, and you get no points for it. I wonder if I should do that. That's actually a pretty good idea. That might make or break someone else's, or someone's run. That could be a cool idea. And then we have like weapons and gears. Now the way that I tiered the gear is based off of like how many ingots it would take to craft. So it's like a helmet. Okay, that's 5 ingots. So I looked at the ingot price, or the ingot value, and that's 5. 5 times 5 is 25. And I did that for iron. For gold, I upscaled it, because those are worth 6, and that's 36. So that is actually worth 6 ingots, as opposed to just worth 5 ingots. The problem with this, it's a non-stackable item, and which means it takes up spots in your inventory. And if you're wearing it, obviously it's not going to last as long. So gold armor is actually worth more per ingot than iron armor. And diamond gear is actually worth 1 less per ingot, as opposed to just the regular diamonds. And you can see the math there and there. And then same with netherite. Netherite, obviously, it's not a immediate scale up. It's only by like, it's only dropped down like 1 ingot, because like the netherite ingot itself is worth 30 points, which is valuable. A helmet, which is like 36 plus the 30, you're losing 5 points if you have a diamond helmet and a netherite ingot. If you make the netherite helmet, you're losing 5 points, which might make or break your score at the finale. I'm hoping, like, once all the loot, I'm hoping with all like the averages and stuff that players will come out of the dungeon with very similar loot, but like just slightly more, like 1 or 2 players will just have the slightly more powerful or slightly more valuable loot and will be deemed the winner. So this is kind of like a risk. It's like, do I want to give up those 5 points for better armor? And that's why the gold is worth more than the diamond and the netherite. So like this doesn't scale. It's not scaling based off of tier. So it's like you can have better defense, which means like, yeah, there's probably an increased chance that you make it out of the dungeon, but it's like it's risk versus reward. The higher the risk, which is why the gold armor is worth more, the greater the reward. And I based the swords off of just 2 ingots, except I really didn't. I think the swords are actually, it's the same kind of like, it's the same kind of gist. Like, this is worth 3 ingots, this is worth 2 ingots, this is worth like an ingot and a half, this is worth like not really that much. Axes are the same. I know axes do more damage and are technically a better weapon, so I made them the same point value as swords, so that way it doesn't matter. It's like, okay, you could take an axe in, or you could take a sword. So it's like, it's not going to be like a hindrance. And then a pickaxe, the reason I went with a pickaxe is because like there's going to be like stone and blocks and everything that like you can break. And obviously the player is going to make a pickaxe. So I figured it's like, okay, if they make a pickaxe, might as well reward them for making a pickaxe, because I want the players to kind of like mine for resources. And that's why like the pickaxe and the axe are worth points, is because like there'll be wood out there, and there'll be like stone, there'll be ores. As you can see, there'll be ores in the loot. The player can break down and get more resources and get better geared up. Oh, goodness me, that's a lot of explaining. We haven't even done any work. Let me just take a drink real quick. Alright, now that that's been taken care of. Barrels will occasionally spawn throughout the dungeons. If you find a barrel, more than likely there's something in it. And the barrels are going to have this pool of loot. Nothing in this chest is worth any points. But this is like kind of all of the possible stuff that you can get. So it's like, we've got things like wheat, rotten flesh, you can get sticks, feathers, and flint, which are going to be obviously useful for arrows. We've got raw beef, pork chops, and mutton, all raw. The reason for that is because I want the players to like take some time. There'll be smokers out there, just as part of the POIs. And if they have coal, they can, or if they just have wood, then they can obviously like do some quick cooking of the food. And that's what I want people to like try to do, is try to like waste time prepping for food. Or they can just go like with the bread route. We have books in here, which I'm going to explain a little bit later once we talk about the different types of POIs. Buckets of pufferfish. Obviously, this is a weapon. You can use it against your opponent. Or if you choose to get rid of the pufferfish, hey, it's a water bucket, which you can use for MLG clutch, or you can use it to extinguish lava. Or fire. I guess fire would be a better use for that. Chorus fruit. Obviously, not insanely useful when it comes to like PvP out in a field. But this isn't going to be a field. This is going to be like a city. So odds are you'll probably get teleported behind a wall, putting a barricade between you and an opponent. So it's like this could buy you an extra like few seconds if you're on the run and someone's chasing you. This could buy you a few seconds to like get your bearings, maybe chug something like this down. The enchanted golden apple that only spawns in barrels. You can't craft it. It's going to be a rare item. The cake is also rare. And then we have things like emeralds. There are going to be villager-based POIs that will offer service. Think like a librarian, maybe an armorer, maybe a fletcher. Like kind of things like that. You drop an emerald into a barrel. A button appears, and you push the button, and you get something in return. Maybe it's an enchanted book that you can use to put on your armor. That being said, you have to find an anvil first, but if you got the iron, there'll probably be anvils just scattered around. If it's a librarian POI, there'll probably be an anvil right there. But again, the longer those POIs are going to be like these smaller ones, which a lot of the times they're quite out in the open. There's not really a lot of ones that are kind of like tucked into a corner. I mean, there's the ones over there, obviously. But like a lot of them are, especially these ones up here, which are more than likely going to be villagers right here. These are more than likely going to be, these are like out in the open, high traffic areas. You kind of want to find one that's like a little bit like less out in the open, like some of the ones in the back. Otherwise, you're just going to get ambushed while you're making a purchase. And depending on like what kind of villager it is, say if it's like a smoker or if it's like a butcher, and you put in an emerald and a raw pork chop, you'll get a cooked pork chop immediately. So it's so like you can use that for like an instant cook. Or if it's a librarian, you can give it a book and an emerald. Boom, enchanted book. Now depending on depending on what generates here will depend on like what enchantment they sell. You're not actually going to be clicking on the villager. More than likely it'll just be like a villager head and then their profession, and then it'll just be like a barrel and a chest. I don't have an example. I did, but I don't anymore. They reset it because I'm a moron and I didn't think I'd be showing or explaining all this today. But anyway, so the emeralds are going to be useful for like villager professions. And I also had an idea with the emeralds, maybe like a banker or something, where it's like you can pay emeralds, you can give emeralds, and then you can guarantee points will be added to your total while the game is going. But the problem with that is when Death Rush occurs, those banks would then close down and you won't be able to redeem these emeralds anymore. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that was just an idea that I had. Let me know in the comments, because obviously no one's watching this live. Let me know in the comments if you think that's a good idea. And then obviously we have disc fragments. You can find them in barrels or chests or whatever. So we've got 5 different tiers. Before I show you, I mean, I've already showed you what the inner chest is, but before I explain what this is, let's go over like the different tiers. We've got trash, we've got stone, we've got rare stone, we've got deep slate, and we've got rare deep slate. So this first inner region, there's two main regions. There's this inner section, which is going to be made of like stone bricks, things like that. It's going to be pallet. And then out here in the outer region, this is going to be the deep slate. So think of it as like, okay, you got like common stone, you got rare stone, which is going to be like more valuable than the common stone loot, but it's going to be like obviously more rare. And then you got the same deal for the deep slate region. And then we've obviously got like, we've got chests, we've got barrels, and then we've got blocks. The blocks are going to be found at like specific POIs. They'll generate in a POI. And obviously like the rarity is, yeah. Each POI is going to have 9 variants. That is the plan. So like 6 of them will be common. So you'll get like these tables, you'll get this table and this table. And then like three of them will be rare. So like if it's a stone POI, you got a chance for like the raw iron or gold. And then if it's a rare deep slate, you got a chance for like the raw iron and gold, and then these blocks as well, which those are going to be pretty valuable, especially if broken down. So it's like, it really just depends on the POI. But the chests and the barrels, those are going to generate regardless. Those rarities are controlled not from the specific structures, or at least I don't want them to. So basic rubbish. At first look, this is going to be like not too interesting. You open this chest, you're going to be disappointed. But if you stop and think, these three items are actually worth more than they say they are. Cobwebs can be broken down for string if you've got a sword. And paper and gunpowder, those can be used to make firework rockets. Which, if you get enough gunpowder, technically you could make a crossbow, and you can unleash fireworks upon literally everyone. I'm not sure how like frequently that'll be, but like it could happen. It could happen. It's a possibility. And then paper, if you get leather, I'm not sure if I'll throw leather in here. But if you get leather, then obviously you can make a book. So if you don't find a book and you find a librarian, you can craft your own book as opposed to finding it naturally. Although I feel like books are going to be a bit more rare. And then we have the trash barrel. You got like wheat, maybe a stick, a feather, maybe some cobwebs. So the rarities of these things, I want it to be left to right. So this would be the most common, and like on this side would be the most rare. So keep that in mind as we review the rest of these. The stone ore, we got stone loot table, we got some basic like common stuff. The reason I have bundles in here is because the player has limited inventory size, and if they're chugging in a bunch of different items, especially if we have it so these, like their proper inventory is blocked, which is something I want to do, and they'll just only have these 9 slots. So the bundle is going to make it so that way they can take more types out while maintaining one, like, you can take this and put like, you can put like a gold and a rare iron, a raw iron into the same inventory slot. That's what the bundle can do. I wasn't sure if I was going to use bundles, but like for the time being, I feel like we should keep them in. Because if we're going to have these 9 slots disabled, or these 27 slots disabled, as an optional game mode, bundles then become super valuable. So we got like nuggets, we got the raw gold, which aren't as valuable as their smelted ingots. So if you get the raw variants and you got the time to smelt it down, do it. And then you can find disc fragments and emeralds. I feel like I want to switch those, so that way the disc fragments should be more rare. And then we have the stone tier barrel, which you can get books. You can get some uncooked mutton, which is out of the 3 raw meats, I think this is the less tier, with like pork chops being like 3.5 and then steak being 4, and this is only 3 when cooked. You got sticks, arrows, flint, cobwebs again. And the cake can spawn in any tier of barrels except for rubbish. And again, it's like, if you find a cake, it's like, yay, I just won. I just won a lottery. And then we got like the rare stone loot. And you can get the ingots, bundles, gunpowder, obsidian, very rarely ender pearls, and very rarely diamonds. So it's like these 4 are going to be like the most rare out of this entire table. And then we go into the barrel, and we got like a couple of other spicy things. Carrots are in on this table, which if you have golden nuggets, then you can obviously turn those into golden carrots, which are much better food source, and you don't have to cook it. You can also get pork chops in this tier. And Totems of Undying, Which again, these types of barrels are going to be rare. So I feel like getting a totem is going to be very difficult to do. Or at least I hope it will be, and it won't be game breaking at all. So we got the deep slate tier loot. This is going to be where we've moved out of the ingots, or not ingots, we've moved out of nuggets, so you'll get like straight ingots. Diamonds are obviously more common out in the far reaches of the map. And then we have like disc fragments, pearls, obsidian, and then we have, you even have the potential for netherite scraps, which you need 4 of these to make a netherite ingot. So obviously there's some incentive there to try to find some. And then we got the rare deep slate ores, or the rare deep slate chests, which you're dealing with full blocks of raw iron, raw gold, iron blocks, diamond blocks. You ain't messing with ingots anymore. You're just going straight to blocks. And you got emeralds. I'm tempted to throw in emerald blocks, but I feel like emeralds are like, because you only need 1 to use a villager. At least that's what I think it should be. So I feel like it's not going to be a problem. Ender pearls, discs, totems, and then potentially another right ingot. And then yeah, we've got deep slate loot, which adds beef. You see the puffer fishes in there. And we got totems, and we have enchanted golden apples at the rare tier for deep slate. So this would be like very, very back corners where you could find a rare deep slate barrel for a chance to get one of these. And of course, like, we got all like the loots. Again, all of these ores, they will generate naturally with the structures, and unfortunately, it will be consistent depending on which structure is generated. So if you know that's like, oh, I recognize the structure, and you know where the ores are hidden in the basement, you can go straight there, and you know what ores are going to be there. Again, depending on the variant. Maybe that's something that we tweak subtly between the 9 different variants. So that's just a brief overview of the loot. And there is quite a lot of it. Quite a lot of it indeed, scattered across this massive field. Or at least it will be. But none of that matters if you are unable to escape the dungeon. Upon the start of the game, any player who crosses that threshold is permanently locked out of this central area, which means if Death Rush is called and they go to this central area, they will be unable to enter because, well, the doors are closed. They are locked. So how do you unlock the doors and escape? With the exit key. Now here's the thing about this key. It's got Curse of Vanishing on it, which means if you died with this key, it's gone. So if you find an ender chest, which is going to be a chest type, if you find an ender chest, you open it up and you pull out your key. If you were to then die from another player, you then lose this key. This key is gone. And if you eliminate someone who has their key, you've officially, like, eliminated some competition. They'll still, like, they can still enter the dungeon, and they can still try to, like, gee, I don't know, maybe someone left a key in a chest or something. It's not gonna happen. But you never know. Yeah, they're basically done. If they die with this, they're basically out. So if you find an ender chest, which are going to be common, it wouldn't be a horrible idea, just in case you were to die and had time to re-enter and try to get something. It wouldn't be a bad idea to leave it in there. Mark its note its location in your mind, so that way if Death Rush is called, you can just like go there real quick and then pick up your key and then exit. Although keep in mind, 30 seconds of Death Rush. You got to be careful. If you don't have the time, it's gonna be game over. And if other players are also going to that same ender chest, yeah, it's risk versus reward. In addition to the exit key and the ender chest, every player will have a lingering potion of healing. So if they're at low health when they get their ender chest, they can pop this sucker, get up to full. And then there's also a grenade in here, which can be used for some decent splash damage. If there's someone like camping the door, You can throw this on them, and then they're forced to move away. I don't know. I'm not sure if the potions are going to be still in there, and I'm also not sure if it's going to be possible to set those up like that. But that is the plan for the time being. That is the plan. This is the plan for the ender chest. At the very least, the exit key needs to be in the ender chest. The reason it's in the ender chest is because no one else can steal it unless no one else can steal it. You are guaranteed a key upon entry of the dungeon. This guarantees that you can escape and that no one else can take your key. If you die with your key, that is your problem. And boy, what a problem would it be. So if you die at any point, you'll respawn, you'll be able to re-enter the dungeon. But if you don't have a key, there's no point. You can't, like, your key doesn't get, like, replaced in your ender chest until after the game's been reset. So yeah. And there's gonna be... Oh, goodness me, I'm tired. There's gonna be a bunch of different modifiers that'll greatly affect things like what kind of loot can generate or certain effects to the players. When the randomizer rolls a modifier, something will be either added or subtracted or changed within the boundaries of the arena. That could include things like, giving all the players extra hearts, or throwing blindness on them all, or taking away hearts, or making players glow so you can't hide and camp. Or it could do things like change up the loot. It could regenerate the loot, which would mean every chest would be refilled. Or it could do things like break up bridges or destroy POIs, even if there's a player inside, which might be chaotic. Things like that. It might roll something fun that I like to call emergency, which, if that is played out here in the deep slate regions, there will be smaller pillars similar to the big one, and those will be known as emergency exits. And if emergency is rolled, you must find an emergency exit. You will not be able to use the middle one. Hopefully emergency would be rolled before the death... Obviously it'd be rolled before deathmatch, so you would have, like, at least 30 seconds to kind of, like, locate one. But, yeah. And there might only be one. They'd be... Obviously, the map would need to check if there's an emergency exit present in the field. Or it could just replace one of these, like, smaller POIs with an emergency exit if emergency were to be called. That might actually be a better play. So that way we can just select a couple of random POIs or whatever, and just generate on top. That might be fun. So yeah, overall, this is going to be a very crazy, chaotic minigame. It's going to be a lot of work that needs to be done building up all of these POIs. Again, I said there's about 250 of them. And they all need to be generated prior to the start of the game. Now, definitely all of these are not going to be unique. There'll definitely be a lot of reusing. And I'm hoping to get Johnny in to help with the actual, like, building of the POIs. But for the time being, yeah, that's gonna be what this minigame is. There's gonna be a lot of craziness. These smaller platforms. So these tiles, they're all based off of, like, chunk size. So this is a half chunk, that's a full chunk, that's a double, and then that big one out there, that's a triple. So these half chunks, these will be things like villagers, it could be emergency exit, it could be a spawner, or it could be like a barrel or a loot crate or whatever. These full chunk sized, which are, like, I want to say are the most abundant. Yeah, because all of these are full sized all the way around. These are full sized. All these in the middle are full sized. Yeah, I want to say these full sized are the most abundant. These will be, like, actual, like, structures and POIs that the player will be able to go in. They'll have, like, 1 or 2 chests, maybe a basement, which I'm intending the basement for ores for the time being. These double-sized, these will be like slightly larger POIs, and then those triple-sized over there. Not sure, but definitely going to be something special. I think we do something crazy different, like the ability to force the game to roll a modifier or something like that, maybe, if the player goes and reaches one. Or maybe it could just be like something silly, like a boss arena and he drops like a netherite helmet or something. I don't know. Something special that we can do for these triple size. There's four triple size total, and they're all in the back corners. And like some of these POIs, they can just be like just loot crates or whatever. Those could be spawners. It really could be anything. Oh goodness me, am I tired from all this talking? Normally don't talk this much on stream. Actually, not anybody here today, so yeah. So that's gonna be this project. I did not think I would be this tired, and my throat is most definitely sore from just non-stop talking after a full hour. And since nobody is watching the stream, I feel like I'm just gonna cut it here. We're not gonna work on it today. Actually, depending if Johnny's available later today, might jump back on for a stream. I'll have to put this on the server. We can actually start working on the POIs. So in terms of like what needs to be done, I think first and foremost we should actually build out the structures, and then from there we do the redstone for like all of the placements of the structures, and then we got to figure out how to get the chest in place. I got an idea on how I can generate the loot, but getting those loot inside the structures is going to be a pain. We're gonna have to figure out some things. Goodness me, that's gonna be a headache. But it's gonna be a fun headache. So yeah, we'll do the building, and then we'll do the actual like redstone, getting all the structures in place. Then we can work on the modifiers. And then once all of that is done, we'll throw in the randomizer, the timer, we'll get deathmatch going. And then this map will be ready for testing. And then once it's like, we're going to test it with 4 people. I want to test it with 4 people, I should say. And then once that's all tested and ready to go, then we'll work on balancing and changing up like the values of the loot and all the tweaks. Oh yeah, we also need to do the counter and all the beginning game. And then the Hall of Settings, goodness me. That's another thing that needs to be done. The Hall of Settings is going to be absolutely massive, because I really do want the players to be able to control a lot of like what goes on. Every modifier, I want it to be toggleable. All the different like POIs or structures or whatever can be toggleable. This outer area and the inner area, depending on like how many players are joining whoever's playing, I want this outer area to be able to be closed off, so no POIs will generate, and just the map would only focus on this inner area. So it's only this inner area where players would actually be like looting. Say if there's only like 4 players, because this would be for like quite a few players, I imagine. No more than 16, I would say, would be able to play this efficiently. That's kind of what I'm going for. So yeah, we gotta get the Hall of Settings, we gotta get the lobby, we gotta get all like the redstone stuff. The redstone's gonna be fun. We're gonna get all of the structures built first, and then we'll worry about all that stuff a little bit later. So if you're watching this video, if you've watched it to the end, thank you, and I hope you're looking forward to seeing this project, and maybe this sounds interesting, and hopefully you can play it for yourself. Yeah, this is gonna be quite fun. Can't wait. I'm just gonna end it here. I think that's the right one, right? Sorry, keep on. Yeah. I guess it's not. I guess the stream isn't loading. I guess the stream would just be closing. All right. Well. See y'all later. Adios. Goodbye.